All right, let's talk about the guns. MAGA tells people you need guns. You got to have them. If the government becomes tyrannical, you would have no tool to defend yourself if you don't have a gun. More guns, the better, because of the tyrannical government. That's the pitch. That's the fantasy. That's the moral framework that they have been selling as MAGA for 11 years and as Republicans for decades at this point in time. So what happens when someone takes that seriously? A white American man, 37-year-old Alex Preddy, no criminal record, legally carrying a gun, out there hoping to defend civilians against federal agents he believes are acting tyrannically. The government shot him dead. That is what happened this weekend. 37-year-old ICU nurse Alex Preddy worked with veterans, legally owned a firearm. White guy with gun should be MAGA and NRA's dream. Federal immigration agents were conducting these aggressive operations in Minneapolis. Preddy showed up. He's filming. He's trying to help a woman that agents had pushed to the ground. He gets pepper sprayed. He gets tackled. And he gets shot multiple times, around 10 shots in a few seconds, it is believed. The official story is he approached with a gun. He was brandishing a loaded firearm. But now, as we have bystander testimony and video, it seems he was holding a phone, that agents had removed the gun. It may not have been loaded. There's controversy around that detail. I can't say I know for certain at this point in time. And then after disarming him, he is shot and killed. So connect the dots. Gun activists say you need guns to resist tyranny. A citizen confronts what he believes is tyrannical state power, and the state goes, "You've got a gun, now you die." And that is the end of the story. This is the part where the fantasy collapses, because when it's their government, suddenly the guy with the gun is a domestic threat. When Obama's president, everybody must be armed. When Biden's president, everybody must be armed. But suddenly this time, someone is legally carrying a gun and the agents are heroes. Suddenly the Second Amendment is conditional. And the people who talk about resisting tyranny are the first to cheer when the state kills somebody for exercising the right that they said you should really exercise this right. You might say, well, this is a bug in the system. Wrong. The core contradiction and reality of the situation is that they only care about those principles when they are convenient to them. Now, let me zoom out just a little bit here. I don't believe we should turn the Alex Preddy assassination into a story that is primarily about guns are the problem. I think that actually plays into Donald Trump's hands. It lets Trump pivot to culture war noise and avoid the real issue. I'm mentioning it because it is an incredible hypocrisy, and later we'll look at video of Kash Patel sort of participating in that hypocrisy. But this ties directly into Trump and the ICE deployments. This is what happens when you normalize mass militarized immigration enforcement as political spectacle. And so I don't want to make this mostly about the guns, but there is this incredible double standard about the guns. The main focus here really is you put heavily armed federal agents into civilian spaces. You tell them they're fighting an enemy from within, and you blur the line between what is policing and what is a paramilitary operation. And this is why I don't believe we should use the term law enforcement for what ICE is doing anymore, because they're not really enforcing the law, certainly not the law that they were created to enforce. And then when a citizen shows up, angry, legally armed, wanting to help people and intervene, it escalates instantly into lethal force. So the problem isn't really one shooting. The problem isn't really the gun issue and that Alex Preddy was legally armed. The issue is the broader policy choice to turn supposed immigration enforcement into just a show of force against even American citizens, where misunderstandings instantly become fatalities and there is no accountability because officer safety and immunity and domestic terrorists and all of this stuff. So the real story here is not guns, it's power. The state labels as a threat with significant power anyone that they find politically inconvenient. And political movements quickly abandon their principles when those principles become inconvenient, something I've talked about with you for a long time and wrote about in my book, The Echo Machine. The fantasy of the white, legally armed guy as the hero has now become the white, legally armed guy is dead. And we are going to delve into this significantly because it is hard to imagine a more tragic outcome than what we are seeing every single day. Send me your thoughts, leave a comment, email me, info@davidpakman.com. Appreciate you watching. Stick around for this next video, and don't forget to hit subscribe so you actually see our uploads. You can also catch the full podcast on Spotify and Apple Podcasts.